Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, the space for spiritual entrepreneurs, leaders, and visionaries who know you're here to do things differently. I'm your host, Lauren Perlingi, and today I'm joined by Mara. She is the founder of the Intuitive Queen, and in this episode, we're going to dive into the soul work, generational trauma, intuition, human design, and understanding your energetic blueprint that can really realign you with more ease and power. So, without me reading your whole bio, I really love to hear from you where, like, start by sharing, like, who you are and the work that you do and what led you really onto this path.
Well, hi Laura. Thank you for having me. So my name is Mara. My brand name is the Intuition Queen. I started as an intuitive and creative coach, and then I moved to into kind of a lineage alchemist because I realized that the work that I was doing entailed a lot of work to help with the inner child healing, and eventually became ancestral healing because they're all connected. And I help entrepreneurs to shatter their limitations. I started my business and I had no idea about how the way I grew up could kind of influence the way I showed up in my business, and how it influenced the way I was showing up to make money, or I was using my money. And I grew up with a narcissistic mother. And so a lot of stuff started to come up. And so that's why I started to help clients with changing career or finding their purpose. But I got deeper as I went. And now it's more about, okay, so why you keep hitting a glass ceiling in your business? It's not because you don't have the skills. It's not because you don't have the strategy. It's not because you're not good at what you're doing. It's because there is something unconscious that is driving you, and it could be a deep fear. It could be limiting beliefs. It could be any of those things. And I want to understand where they're coming from, and how I can help you to release it. Because to me, it's like I want to go to the root cause. I don't want to give you something that will work for right now, because that fear that you have of being seen, for example, which is very common in for us entrepreneurs, being online and all of that, it has nothing to do with the online space. It has a lot to do on you being afraid of being seen because someone at some point told you that wasn't safe. And so I went into this line of work because I did it for myself first, and I saw how I changed my life, how I shifted everything. And I was like, I'm meeting way too many people that are incredible. And at some point, they stop because they feel they cannot do this, but it's not because they don't have the skills. It's because they need to do work on themselves. And so this is what I do, and my progression. How I got into this, I through a book. A friend of mine told me to read The Secret years ago, and she was like, "This book
Yes.
reminds me a lot about you. You should read it." I read it, and I got crazy into self development. I had no idea what that was. It was 2009. I had just moved from Milan, Italy to London, and it helped me move through. I was like, oh my God. And I started to listen and watch all the videos of the Jack Canfield, the Les Brown, all of those guys, Tony Robbins, and all of that. I started to read their books, take the action that they were suggesting in the books, and I started to see things shift. And then I started to share whatever I had learned to my friends or whatever, whenever they were coming to me with a problem. And then I started to have people be like, I need to talk to you because I feel better. You always have something great to say. And then at some point, someone was like, why you keep looking at those guys? Why don't you become a coach? And I'm like, oh, but those guys are millionaires. How am I going to be a millionaire? And my friend was like, you just need to figure out how much money you want, and then you make that money. You don't need to become a millionaire. I'm like, ah, okay. And so that's how everything started. And I eventually then took a course, and started my healing. But really, through starting my business is when I actually started to do the deepest part of my healing, because that's when I was really, really faced with the limitations. And I hated wanting to be up here and still finding myself hitting a wall after wall, and then I realized all the connection with the way you grow up, with your family, with society, and how you see yourself as a woman and all of that. And so I got deeper into that line of work for that reason.
So thank you for sharing all of that. One of the questions that popped up when I was listening to you is like, what was that like turning point for you? Like, what made you want to? Obviously, after listening, I was going to say that's very similar to my story. Somebody told me to like to listen to, or not listen. I guess now you can listen to it. I read the actual book, but The Secret, I was like, this is fake. And this is not gonna work. It's like literally doing it. And it's like, wait, this does work.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was that like? Was there a moment that you know, like that you could kind of pinpoint before that? Or was that the moment of like when you started doing all the things that you're learning that was a turning point? Like what made you want to shift and start to heal?
Well, that was a major turning point because I had just moved to another country, and that was already a major turning point for
Okay.
me.
Yeah,
But
sure.
the problem was that I left a job in Italy where I was working in advertising, and I moved to London, and I couldn't find a job in advertising despite speaking four languages and having experience and all of that. And that to me was like, how? So I had to do sales work and I had to be a sales assistant. And to me, that felt like a failure because I was like, I went from working in an office in advertising agency to sell clothes or sell audio guides in museum. And that just shattered me. And there was this desire within me that wanted better. And so the little work that I started doing was through those books and through those things, and the meditation, the vision board, and all of that kind of thing. There were little things that were shifting, so that kind of gave me more confidence, because I was like, oh, so those things work. Oh, I want to do what they do. I want to, it started to show me a different kind of possibilities that I had not been experiencing before because I was not surrounded by people that had any idea of self development. I grew up in a family that was like, this is who you are and this is who you're going to be. You don't dream too much because you're never going to get there. So that was the environment I grew up in. My
Yeah.
soul was like, no, no, that's not your path. No. So you want different, you're going to get different. So I always been really, really restless as a child, as a teenager. Now I can tell you, my soul was trying to really hard to tell me, don't settle. This is not for you. And so moving to London was that kind of leap of faith of like, okay, now you are on your own. Go show everybody that you made differently. And then I had hit the wall of, oh yeah, but you can't get a job in an office because whatever. And so those were the points where I was like, no, I still want better. I still, now I have my freedom. Now I don't have anybody telling me what I can do or I cannot do. I don't have to argue with my mom every 5 minutes, but I'm still not where I need to be. Um, I want more. I want different. So those books, those videos really helped me through. But then when I started working, and I put off finding a coaching academy for a long time because at the beginning I didn't have the money. Then I had a better job and I wanted to use the money to enjoy my life. And then my dad passed away. And that really hit me hard because of like, oh, okay, so we really are here today, maybe not tomorrow. That scared me in terms of if you keep saying you want to be a coach and you're doing nothing.
Right.
You've been in London for now how many years? And this was not the dream you had. Like the dream you had was not to try to get up the ladder in this job that you don't actually like. I
Right.
was trying, I was working hard to make more commission, to get a promotion in a job that I fundamentally didn't care about. I was good at,
Right.
But I wasn't that person that would be like, oh yeah, I see myself in the next 5 years. No. So after my dad passed away, I was like, okay, I need to make my dreams come true now, and I need to stop finding excuses not to do it. And that's when the year after, and, and and that's when the universe is like, oh, finally, because it was so weird. I took a year because I needed to heal, and that's when I started doing family constellation and Reiki. I took the first level of Reiki through a friend. Um, and then at some point, I'm on Instagram and I post a picture that says coaching, and I write in the caption, back when Instagram was normal, and I write in the
Right.
caption,
Right.
um, I want to be a coach. If there is anybody out there that wants to suggest or give me some tips, I am open. I got a lot of people responding and liking it that weren't in my followers. And I connected with this person that had taken my course. So we started having calls, and she was super nice. And she was like, oh, you're going to love it because it's this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then she ended up moving to London. She was supposed to move to Barcelona. Something went wrong with her flat. She moved to London to complete university. And she showed me the books. She showed me a lot of things. We became friends, and I signed up to the coaching academy in Australia. And I started doing that course, and it changed my life. I was working full time, and then I was taking the course in the evening. I was waking up in the middle of the night to take the live calls because I needed those for the credit at the end. But I was so pumped up because it felt like this is where I need to go. This is my purpose. This is what I need to do. And then with that, I discovered color therapy. I was like, okay, wait a second. What is this I need to know? Because I've always been super colorful, always loved colors. They always made me feel happy. And when I realized after I had an aura reading that you can work with colors, I'm like, okay, I need to know about this. So I started doing color readings, and as I evolved, then I learned a lot of other different modalities. And then eventually, after 2, 3 years that I started my business, I got after a year that I started my business, I got in touch with human design for the first time. I was working with my business coach, and in the program, she had this human design reading. And when I got the reading, the guy was talking to me about me. And it's like, how do you know that? How do
Right.
you know so much about me? You don't know who I am. It's the first time we're connecting. What is this? Um, but I wasn't in that space of being like, oh, I want to learn this. I was like, okay, this is really cool. It's like when you do an astrology reading, someone sees your chart, and oh, I love it. Okay. Then someone gave me another reading. Fine, okay. And then at some point, I had a Akashic record reading, and this woman was like, "You need to learn human design." I'm like, no, I am not. It's too much work, and I don't think so. I mean, I find it really fascinating. She was like, no, no, you need to do it because there is a connection between human design and color therapy. I don't know what it is, but there is something that you can connect, and this is going to be a powerful tool for your clients. And I'm like, okay, I'll look into it. Fast forward 2 weeks, a friend of mine goes, can I give you a reading because I'm studying human design and I need to do 3 sessions? And I'm like, okay. And because she's the coach and she took my same course just in a different moment, I was like, I feel bad because your reading was actually professional and really good. So I should be paying you for this. So let me give you a color reading as an exchange because I feel like it's fair. So I give her the color reading. And at the end of the color reading, she goes, you need to learn human design. I'm like, what? Why? She's like, no, because they connect. I mean, this is incredible. You need to learn human design. I'm like, okay, you guys, I'm gonna do it. And so I got the book, and I'm like, oh. It does make sense. So now I combine them when I do uh, ancestral healing or child healing. It just helps me so much to help the client understand a little bit more about themselves and really just feel more comfortable because I mean, after you have a human design reading, you're like, oh, that's really me. So I can stop going against myself and I can stop listening to all of those people that tell me I'm crazy. I am not, just me. You guys are not my people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, human design. It's funny how you said that about human design because people think I'm like, I mean, I am very intuitive, I'll just say that. But it's like we all are and we all have different gifts, but people think that I'm like pulling this out of my butt or something. Like, no, I'm looking at your chart. This is you. I'm reading the
Yeah.
energy of you. It's all combined together. So it's interesting that you said that because I guess for me with human design, I came across it like 10 years ago. And then I had pulled my chart. I was like reading different stuff and I was like, no way. Like what is your human design?
I'm a generator, 5-1 generator.
5-1 generator. Are you pure generator?
Yeah.
Pure authority. Okay. I'm a 6-2 emotional projector. So when I seen the word projector, I'm like, what does this
I
like
don't like this.
I'm like I don't like this. This is too confusing, whatever. And then I'm a generator. That's just how I operate, Anyway, I was just not willing to accept the fact of like who I was yet. So fast that, like a couple of years later, it can't like you said, scrolling through Instagram. This was like 7 years ago. So when it was like somewhat still normal, I think, it wasn't so controlled. But it popped up again and I was like, oh God, here's this human design thing. But I was in a different headspace that I was like, let me just do it again. So I did it. And it was like at that moment, it was like a permission slip to be like, everybody, like you said, everybody called me crazy. You don't know this, you don't know that. So I was like, of course. So that from that moment, I just self-taught myself. Because a lot of people say to me,
Mm.
oh, are you a certified reader? And I was like, I don't believe in any of that shit. I don't believe in any.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I know I don't call myself a doctor. I know I have to go through school for that. But like, I don't need to call myself a certified reader to be a certified reader. And I feel like that goes for people that want to be a mentor, people that want to say like call themselves a coach. Like I get the what you the logical piece to all of that. And as long as you're doing it like, I just tell people just call yourself intuitive. Like you don't have to put like, oh, I'm
A
certified
label.
makes you
Yeah, I agree.
accredited for there.
Like when
So
I got my coaching certificate, my friend was like, "You need a piece of paper to feel
yeah.
worthy because
Yeah, I don't have
like
that.
you were a life coach before you started the course." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
It didn't feel like obviously because I didn't go to university, so I had all that shame going on
Yeah. Of
there, so I needed a piece of
course.
paper. But after that I was like, no, I mean my intuition speaks. Like I like if you start talking to me, my intuition is just gonna give me messages. You can give me all the certificate you want.
Yeah.
What I'm channeling, it's real, and you will see for yourself because
Yeah.
I don't know you, but I start channeling stuff about you, and so we'll see. Otherwise, if you don't feel I am good, then you go to someone else.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's the space I think that we're in too, especially because like 2020, when the world shut down,
Hmm.
or I should say the US shut down.
Oh no, no, no. We did shut down as
Yeah,
well.
everything
So
shut down. The
I mean,
entire world
Italy
just
shut
stopped.
down way more and way
Yeah.
earlier than everybody else. So
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say the entire world stopped spinning pretty much. Like everything just stopped. So then everybody was consuming and everybody was like, just doing all the things, right? But now we're in this place of like 6 years later of like it's different. It's more of like for
yeah,
the the I don't know, like my belief around having, yes, I'm a sort of like yes, I for Reiki, I do believe that you need to be placed the right way for shamanic
yeah,
healing. Like I'm a shamanic
yeah, yeah.
practitioner. So yes,
I agree.
that is you need to be placed correctly because if you're doing energy work like you need to make sure you're doing it right because all you're
Yeah,
doing is hurting yourself and you're hurting other people. Like
yeah,
you don't want to mess with any of that. So yes, from that standpoint, I feel like it's needed. And
yeah.
but anyway, I wanted to ask you a question about, you talked about genetic trauma or like from an ancestral or inherited trauma.
Yeah.
When you see this for like for your clients or even for you, when it shows up in business or money or like leadership, like how does this show up in maybe leadership patterns, business, money, personal life?
Oh, there are so many ways. I think like the most common that comes to mind is like being afraid of showing up truly. So it
Mm,
could be showing up on social media, it could be showing up in group settings, talking about your gifts and really sharing everything. I just had a session with a client, and particularly when you have different kind of careers, um, then there is the part before and then the part in the middle and the part that you're doing now. And a lot of people shut down everything. And I'm like, and that's the thing. Like, you don't need to shut down. Everything is connected. You need to start sharing the whole of you, because that's what makes you you, and that's you are unique. I am unique in combining colors with human design. I know there is nobody that does this. You are unique in combining gene keys and human design and astrology. There are other people that are unique in other different kind of things. And my client used to be a kinesiologist, and now she helps people creating content, video, and and she also works with supplements and stuff. And I'm like, those things need to be talked out. So like, oh, but I don't want to, because I need my message needs to be very clear. And I'm like, your message is clear. And if you're afraid that certain people won't get to you and won't want to work with you, um, you need to show up everything of you. You just have to learn to understand how to talk to who you have in front of you. Some people are not who at all. They don't want to hear about it. Okay,
right.
so you shift the way you talk about the same thing in a more logical way. So it's all of that. It's not being able to one of the fear that I had to go through, and I see a lot of my clients. It could be both. It could be fear of failure, fear of success,
Hmm.
fear that someone is going to take that away from you. Either someone, like I grew up with a narcissistic mother. I am lucky enough to to be able to say that we healed our relationship, not because she did anything, but because I did all of the work. And I didn't think this was ever gonna happen. I got to a point where I was like, I accept she has her journey, and I accept the fact that I'm never gonna have the mother that I wish I had.
Yeah.
And that we can only stay a max of 5 days together before everything starts to go shit. So fine. I'm gonna go home for 5 days, and that's it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I accepted that, and then I realized with time that things have actually shifted in a way I did not expect. And now our relationship is calm, amazing. And I know it doesn't happen to everybody, but my fear was that she would take stuff away from me. So if I was making money and if I was becoming successful, she will come and take it, because this is what narcissistic people do.
Right.
They will come and take your joy away. They will come and take your success away,
Right.
whatever, in whichever form. So those kind of things, even it's not about making money, it's how you spend money. Are you spending money going constantly in debt? Lack mindset, not believing that wanting it, but deep down, not believing you can have it.
Right.
So those things are like, or not being able to speak your truth and always, adjust yourself to other people around. Particularly like if you do this kind of work, you might be great with your clients, but then around your home, you're kind of shying away and staying a little bit more composed with your husband or your parents, or I don't know, the people surrounding you. And so it's about helping all of those people to really be themselves 100%, full force, full potential, without fear, without limitation. Because I know what that means, and I know the kind of work that I had to go and do. It was painful at times, but if I see myself now, I'm like, oh, it was all worth it. And I know from a spiritual perspective, I decided to come into this family because I needed a push to become who I was. Because if I had come to a family that was all loving and all giving me everything that I wanted, I would have not become courageous and resilient, and probably I wouldn't be doing this job. So, there is a reason for everything, but to me, it's like we all have this big, beautiful potential, and once we find the way to express it 100% with no fear, I mean, how much good can we do in the world for ourselves and from the other people? So I'm really passionate about this, mainly because I saw the changes within me. And mainly because I realized when I started to have my business and I left my job, obviously everything is on you. And so all of the fears, all of the limitations all pop up, and you're like, what's happening? Why now? um, but then once you start to work through, everything shifts, your relationship change, the way you approach life changes, the way you attract business change. And to me, that's the biggest reward.
Yeah. There's a lot of good nuggets of wisdom that you said, but specifically what I hear too is that, and I see this, it's not to shame anybody and it's not to make anybody feel guilty because I'm including myself in this when it happens too in my business that what you present yourself with online or the way that you speak in your messaging, it's like frequency, right? So it's like, you are
Yeah,
trying to create and build and all the things, but all of your if your relationship your relationship with yourself is like full on fire, like you just want to burn shit down, it's going to be mirrored into your personal life. It's going to be mirrored.
yeah,
I always try to separate everything, like, oh, I'm just going to focus on myself, and then that will reflect back in my business. However, that is true. When I focus on myself, it always reflects in my business, always reflects with my daughter, it always reflects with my family, it always reflects with my husband. And
yeah,
then I don't have to focus on like three separate areas of like managing or like acting like I have to control things or like, all the things. I feel like it just works because it flows. And it's
yeah.
like I'm just allowing things to happen. And, um, I definitely do resonate with when you said healing your relationship with your mom, because when I started this work, my mom is very narcissistic too. And I'm realizing putting that label on her is wrong of me in the beginning or like now, because through all of my pain and stuff, I realized that I still didn't take, this was like in the beginning, I still didn't take like responsibility for, my own shit and what I chose to be here. Like I chose this lesson, like you said, everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. I always just wanted to find that reason to understand it, but like sometimes we just don't
Yeah,
need to know that reason, right?
yeah,
Fast forward to like to current day now, like if it wasn't for my mom to support me being a single mom, my parents, both my parents helping me being a single mom, growing my business, even now, like I'm not a single mom, but my husband he works, he's gone at work a lot, so I solo parent a lot, and it's like having, if I cut that connection off with my mom, all I would be doing is hurting myself versus saying that I'm healing and saying I'm doing this stuff. Like, is it reflected in my personal life? No, it's not. So it kind of makes you look like, are you an imposter or like, are you really, and I'm not saying, I know this could be very triggering for a lot of people, but people do, if you need to cut your parents off because
oh yeah,
that's what you need to do. I'm not
yeah,
shaming you saying that whatever you're doing is wrong. I'm just saying that from me and my perspective, if I were to let my ego control me that way and go that way, I would have just been hurting myself constantly. I think through that,
yeah.
like you said at the beginning, the key point was the more that you focus on yourself, it's not magic. It just happens. You're healing that generational trauma. And I think that that's what I really want people to like hear is that can happen. You can heal generations back and seven generations forward. So like, yes, does it feel hard as shit half the time? Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're always in work,
Yeah.
work in progress. But
Yeah.
to me, I think everything is connected to this desire that I had since I was a child to be more. I
Yeah.
always been extremely creative. I always been extremely intuitive, and I always felt trapped.
Yeah.
So this desire to be and to express, and this feeling of not being able to, really made me go crazy. Like I just couldn't understand how this wasn't working for me, whatever that was.
Yeah.
How whatever I was doing, there was always this feeling eventually of feeling trapped, either if it was in a relationship, in a job. And then, my astrology says I have a problem with authority. I'm like, yeah, I know. I hate people telling me what to do, particularly
Me
when you're
too.
talking to stupid people. But,
Yes. I
but
think all of
that
us
was,
hate to be told what to do. Like, I feel like there's some type of autonomy that got screwed up in some type of generation, wherever that was, that it's like, oh, you like to be told. Nobody likes to be told what the fuck to do. Like, nobody. Like, stop doing it.
yeah,
Like, just stop
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly when you grow up with someone that constantly tries to tell you what to do and what not to do, then you grow up
Right.
and be like, I want nobody to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But to me, I think it was related to that. And realizing when I had my business, okay, first of all, I do not see myself, now that I know I have this purpose, I really struggle to see myself doing something else. I really do. So that was one thing, one big awakening, like, oh, I am this much. I am this capable, and I love this so much. How did I not figure this out before? So there is that element where you're like, oh my God, I just found gold. So now how do I turn this gold into a business that is thriving? Um, so there is that part. Although at moments I had to go back to corporate because of all of the things that I had to learn and all of the work that I had to do, my business didn't go like, oh, I left my job and everything went fine. I went from zero to no, it didn't work for me like that. I made money and then, oh, all of a sudden clients weren't coming. And so, oh, I need a part time job. Oh, okay. And now I can leave the job again. It's been a cycle for me and it's been a reflection of what I needed to work on. So,
Right.
that take and go, it's been always something that I needed to learn. But to me, it's more like you want happiness, you want stability, you want safety, and you want harmony in your life. I guess pretty much most of the people, this is what they want. You want to be loved in whatever kind of way works for you. And so if those are priorities, then there is only one thing that you can do. It's to work on yourself, particularly when you grew up in a dysfunctional family. Those people are not going to see a problem within themselves. They're going to make you the problem. You're going to be the black sheep of the family. And there is no way for you to find a way to have a conversation about it, to communicate in a different way. They're just not going to listen. So you have to make a decision, as much as that might piss you off, because when I was told you need to do the work, I was like, again, why can she not do the work? And I
Yeah.
do the work and we
Yes.
do it
Yeah.
together. And my mom, when I was talking to her about certain things, because at the beginning you go straight like, you did this and you did that, she was
Yes.
like, you're crazy, what's wrong with you? So it just doesn't land, and then you're left there being like, okay, so let's see what happens if I do it for myself. And
Yeah.
over time there have been moments, I think I stopped speaking to my mom for like 8 months, 1 year, because of like, this is too much.
Hmm.
Particularly when I left my job and she wasn't happy. She went crazy on me. And I was like, I cannot hear these conversations. I cannot hear
Right.
you shouting every time you're calling me. I cannot hear you giving me names, calling me names, because I don't want to hear you. I don't want to talk to you. I need peace because I need to go through this. And
Yeah.
I shut her off for like 8 months. And then eventually I started talking to her again. And it's always been a learning curve to understand how much I could take
Yeah.
and put out boundaries.
Yeah.
And then learning to understand you are like they say, Joe Dispenza and all of, you are the one that create your destiny and your life. and you're the only one in control of what you can control. You can't control what other people do. You cannot control
Right.
what happens around you. So I was like, okay, if this is what I need to do, okay. But then when you start to do the work, to me, I guess what work was seeing that, okay, so I do the work on myself and I stop arguing with her and I stop responding to her in this way.
Right.
And eventually, with time, she will stop bothering me as much, or she will stop asking me that kind of question. And so, and my business will go this way. So it, for me, it worked because I started to see the results in my personal life, in my relationship with her, in the way my business was going, and I was like, oh, okay, I want this. Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, yes. I feel more confident with myself. I feel slightly more secure in myself. I feel more safe. Okay, yeah, yeah. My job is my business is working. Okay, good. I want more of this. And so you do more, and then I just go into rabbit holes, and I love this work so much that it's like whatever more I can learn to unlearn and unpack. I'm like, yeah, I'm your girl. So
Yeah.
then you just become very passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I wanted to ask you that now that it popped back, the question popped up in my mind about when I know they were talking, um, about blending the color therapy and human design. I meant to ask you, like, how I know that we were talking about it earlier in the conversation, and I just in my mind, I'm thinking now all these human design lovers that listen to the podcast are like, wait a second, how did she do this? So can you kind of like walk just like give like little nuggets of like how these modalities or how you've seen these modalities work together with the people that, obviously you use it on yourself, but kind of helps them realign themselves with their true power. And I think this is like really powerful too, because I've never in my entire existence here, I mean, yeah, sure, I've heard about human design and like, putting this together with different things, but never like color therapy. Like, so what is actually like color therapy and do you put it in with human design?
There are different kind of ways to do color therapy. The
Okay.
way I do it is I basically read your chart.
Okay.
So based on your date of birth, I come up with four numbers
Okay.
and they gave me a color, and they tell me the energy you were born with, the energy you need to work with right now, the energy of your future, and that you still need to work with, and
Yeah.
the energy of your life mission. So from those things, I tell you what are your colors, and then I started channeling, something that I didn't know I was able to do until I started doing
Okay.
this for my friends to practice. And I started feeling things. And so I might tell you to use different kind of colors because that energy is something that you need. So every color works within us subconsciously. We don't realize that color work with us. And because they are related to particular emotions, particular feelings, particular fears, there is a positive and a negative energy to each color. Whenever, aside from the colors that are in your chart that give you a kind of a blueprint of how you should be using your energy and what you're prone to. So, for example, if you have green, most likely you are a people pleaser and you tend to give yourself to everyone and everybody can come to you, and you really struggle with boundaries. So that's one of the aspects. You are a loving person, you're super sociable, but then there is the boundary aspect and that fact that you feel the need that you need to be there for everybody, and you might struggle to have someone being there for you. So that's one of the characteristic of um, the green. But you also have a super big heart and an amazing person, all of that. So that helps you to understand how to use your energy in your business and in your life. And then I start channeling stuff from you because your soul wants you to release something particular. And I might give you colors to work with. I often get clients are like, "Oh, I don't like that color." I'm like, "I know." And that's because you need to work with the energy, because
Right.
the energy means the. So this is one thing. And then when I started doing reading learning human design, I realized that with all of the centers and all of the gates, I mean, it's all about energy again. And it's all about your fears and your limitations and your potential. And what I love about human design is that it gives you a structure how you function energetically. And to me, that I've always been against structure that are given from other people.
Right.
I always been like, okay, so this is the structure that you gave me. Let me make it mine. So I work better and I still give you results. So that's been the way it worked for me generally in life and work. And to me, this works well because I'm like, oh, okay, so if people tell you, oh, you need to wake up at 5 a.m. because you're more productive in the morning and then you can do, I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't work for me because I rather sleep a little bit more in the morning and then I go on. So that's my energy. And so when you learn to understand certain things about yourself and the strategy that you need to use, everything flows better and you stop going against yourself and even the self-doubt and everything else shifts. And so when I combine those things, it really gives you an actual blueprint of your energy. And that's amazing because then you can use that energy to start moving forward in your life. And then if you want to work with me for a longer period of time because there is something more, then I use those charts and the energies to help you release whatever it is. Because when you do both color therapy and human design, you start to see what are your tendencies. You have a tendency
Mm,
to self-doubt. You have a
yeah.
tendency to this kind of fear, or you have a tendency to urgency. So it's a lot of work. And then, of course, because I channel a lot when I'm working with people, then I start to feel other stuff, and so that helps me to tune into more into yourself. And then, obviously, when you're coaching, then people start to tell you, and obviously, I'm always going to go to how you grew up and all
Right.
of that. And so, when you start to see, and to me, working on your ancestral line, it's been so powerful for me that I'm like, I want to know more. Let's go deeper. Let's go see. Okay, so this fear of speaking up is yours, but was your mother's? Okay, was that also your grandmother's? Yes, because okay, let's go trace it back. Let's go release this as much as further down the line as we can so that you can free up space and energy and your ancestor will thank you for that and you're going to change your life. So to me this is really important, but color therapy and human design are tools that makes it easier because sometimes people need to have an anchor and the intuition it's not enough, and so I just blend everything. I'm like, I am intuitive, so shit is gonna come out of me because your soul wants you to know. And then I give you structure. So I am about intuition and structure anyway, so those combined for me are such a great way to help my clients.
Right. And I think that it's just amazing how, like, when I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, oh my God, this is so, like, and I'm taking myself back to, like, my own clients with them understanding their human design. Sometimes it's just such a complex system. That's why I incorporated like shamanic healing or ancestral healing or like theta healing or like Reiki or like theta Reiki or whatever, because they need the logical and emotional piece together. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, if we're going to call the chart, it's just very overwhelming, like if you don't
Hmm.
understand it. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's great to have it, but it's like, I love how you tie into the color piece too. The one question that popped up for me was, does your colors change? Like when you do more healing and people work with you, do those colors change? Or is
No.
it kind of like they're always the four colors that you have?
No, no, because they're based on your date of birth and your date of birth doesn't change.
Ah,
So, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
those are
Okay.
your
Okay.
colors. What changes are the colors that you might need to use around you. So,
Oh, okay.
I often give
Okay.
different, like, I give you your color and then I give you colors to work with because so that will change. So if you come to me for another, you can do multiple
Sessions.
color
Yeah.
reading. I'll work with your energy, and then I'll work with the energy that wants to work with you. So that will change because obviously you might be in a good place or in a bad place, or something might happen. You might be in a transitional moment, and so you might need different kind of energies around you.
Okay. Yeah. I have seen in human design about the tones, colors, and all that stuff. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? Okay. I'm not going down that road. So
Oh, I went down there and I was like, oh yeah, no, then that doesn't interest me.
that's,
And then
yeah, I'm like, okay,
no,
so that's completely different. Like when it's like when it has like a tone and a color and a like, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, okay, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
yeah, no,
No,
no. I mean,
not
no,
interest
because
me.
for me, I just have so much respect for the color reading that I do,
Mhm.
and I feel like I get so much downloads when I do that. And when I started to look into human design, I'm like, it gives me nothing. There is
Right.
nothing here that excites me or that gives me more information, so I don't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah. And you're a generator, so it needs to
Yes,
excite you. And
yes,
if it doesn't, it's going to
exactly.
burn you the hell out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a Cancer sign, so
Oh, I was going to say,
burning bridges is my thing.
what is your sun, moon, and rising?
I'm a Cancer Sun, Sag rising, and
Gemini rising. Or
Gemini
no,
moon.
oh, Gemini moon. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you need things to excite you.
Yes.
All around astrology and human design.
Yes, 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 yes. That's why
So,
I follow so much astrology, and I'm like, oh yeah, that, oh that. I'm just fascinated of every kind of practices that explains you.
yeah, 100%. And I think I always say, now my husband begs to differ, and you guys in the like listening will have to let me know. I always say that astrology, I call human design, I call it like astrology on steroids because
Mm,
it uses astrology, but it also goes deeper than
mm-mm.
a transit. Like I just don't, in my mind, I understand it. Like I'm an Aquarius sun, a Pisces moon and rising, so I understand it to the deepest level possible because that's just who I am.
Yeah,
But for somebody that doesn't, when people say they don't understand astrology, I get it. Like I 100% get it because it's like, now am I an astrologer? No. Will I ever claim to be an astrologer? Absolutely not. Like no way. Because there's just so many different aspects. It's really deep and you can
yeah,
understand it to that deeper level. But I feel like human design brings a more logical, like here's your strategy. This is your energy. This is how you make decisions. Like when I look at astrology, I'm like, this isn't telling me how I make decisions. From astrology, I make emotional decisions. And from my human design, I'm an emotional authority. I should not be making emotional decisions. That's where I get myself into shit like shame and guilt. And it's like, stop saying yes to everything and all that stuff. So I
yeah,
think it's like you need both of them together, really. I mean, you really do like have to have some type of understanding of like one or the other because I don't, human astrology labels me as an emotional like my Pisces. I mean, like what can get more
yeah,
emotional than a damn water sign in my moon?
yeah.
I mean, sure, probably maybe like a Scorpio, but like other than that, like or a Cancer
But that's a
moon,
different kind of emotion, though.
right? Yeah. So it's like it's different, and then on top of like all my 12th house energy. I felt like when I first started learning my like astrology, because I've always really been really obsessed with astrology and really learning it deeper, I realized I'm like, God, oh my, no wonder I can't have surface level conversations. I just cannot. I'm asking you,
Yeah,
why do you feel so angry? And people are like, what?
yeah.
I'm
Oh my
like,
God.
I feel like you feel like, no, I don't do that. Like, I don't do that. But I'm just like, I just ask these questions that are people are like, damn, do you have to go so
I
deep?
am with you. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, we can talk stupid stuff for 5 minutes and then I'm bored. So, okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Like, I want to talk deep stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I might be boring for some people, but I can talk. I can go fun, but there has to be some depth because otherwise, I'm like, okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, and it's because it's like the intellectual piece. Like, sure, I can have a very surface level conversation, but it's going to be very short. Like, I
Yeah.
could never have a podcast and then like not talk like hear people say this to me all the time, and it's not that I intentionally do it, but they're like, you asked me a question I've never spoke out loud publicly, but I didn't like force it out of them. So I'm like, that's interesting. Like, they're like, you're really good at asking questions. And I'm like, I just
Mm-mm.
do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I don't really
Yeah.
know. It just comes to me and I'm like, oh, I need to ask about this. I need to ask about that.
Same. Yeah.
Just because I'm a very curious and
Exactly. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah. I say the same. Like, I'm just curious about your story and all the
right.
things you say. So questions come to me naturally because I want to know.
Right. Yeah, because I truly believe at the core of my own being that everybody matters. It's part of my story. It's why I started this podcast, that
Yeah.
everybody matters and everybody's story deserves to be heard. And it's been silence, don't say this, don't say that, don't, the same thing with like your mom, when in the beginning, like I left my very, 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 very successful 9 to 5 job. I was, made 6 figures, like things happened, tried to move across the country, had to move back like with my daughter and like I was running away from myself at that point. Like I was just running. I'm like, oh, I'm going to move across the country with there's nobody, no help, just me and
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to fix my entire situation. And the universe is like, absolutely not. You're going to stay your ass right back in Delaware. So moved to Arizona for a month, had to move back. So all of those things happened. And then it's interesting how everything happens like that. And I realized that I guess I can't run anymore. Like at that moment, and my mom goes, well, you going to go back to your job? And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going back there. Like, why would I go back there? Even had the partners call me, like, are you coming back? We heard you're back in Delaware. And I was like, who told you that? Like, who's telling you? Like, of course, I put it all over social media like a dumbass,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I was like, no, I don't really know what to do. Like, I had some money to live on, like from selling my house and all the things, that I was like, no, I need to focus on myself. And if that did not feel good for my mom. Of course, I was in her
Yeah.
house and, like, that whole dynamic of like her trying to control me, but it was more of like, I need to make boundaries. This is what, like there's been multiple times that I remember very clearly of like I telling her, specifically saying to her, I would rather be homeless to ever listen to you again. Like, if you want us to move
Mm.
out, like we can move out. I will figure something else out. Like, but
Yeah.
I'm not, just because I'm in your house does not mean you control me. Like that,
Yeah.
a grown ass adult, so there was times that I had to say what I needed to say, and she left me alone. Like she then started supporting me, and then my podcast. Like she listens to my podcast. I'm thinking, oh God, and but it's like she's in a different mindset. She goes to therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Yeah. Yeah.
things have
Oh,
happened.
wow.
Yeah, like
Yeah. I
she doesn't like
My
one-on-one
mom has always
therapy,
been
but
afraid of all the things I was doing, like reading cards and
oh yeah,
reading tarot and all of that.
yeah.
And then, particularly in the 18 months that I was here during the pandemic, it was a mess. And that's when I did the biggest healing for myself.
Mhm.
And then a couple of years ago, she was like, "Oh, she started my podcast. I'm not. I need to start season 4, but I was every Wednesday my podcast comes out and it comes
Mhm.
out on audio and on YouTube. And so when she got a new phone, she started going on YouTube, and I had no idea she was watching my podcast. She doesn't speak English, so at some point she was like, "Oh, I really like that guest that had a hat," and I'm like, "What?" And she was like, are you not doing your thing today?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" "Oh, that thing that comes out every Wednesday." I'm like, "What, my podcast?" She's like, "Yeah, where you speak to people." I'm like, no, mom, it's over. Like season 3, it's over." "Oh, okay. I really like that person." And I'm like, What's happening?" And I didn't
Right.
realize that was the beginning of her
Yeah,
being interested in what I was doing and not being
yeah,
judgmental about it.
yeah. Which is
And
huge. Yeah,
it's huge, and it blew me away. It's like, oh, okay, fine. But I just think maybe it's not for everybody.
yeah.
Some people are able, and I don't think we're doing what we're doing just because. I think
Right.
there was
Yeah.
a plan. We were supposed to do this, and maybe our journey meant that we could heal the relationship with our mothers because
Yeah.
this is the job, the work that we need to do. And so it makes sense for us. And
Right.
for other people, it just makes sense to do the work for themselves and deal better with their parents, whoever, and they're gonna stay as they are, but you still, heal a lot of you and still grow and still create a different kind of life. So
Yeah.
I think
100%.
regardless of the end goal of the outcome, I hope that everybody is able to heal the relationship with their mother, their father, whoever it is. But I also want to say if that doesn't happen, the main goal is to help yourself really and to heal yourself as much as you can so that you can move forward in the best way possible in your life, your business or career, whatever it is, and just live a happier life.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some powerful words of wisdom. So tell us where everybody can find you, and I'll also make sure all of her links are below in the description box.
Yeah, you can find me on my website, theintuitionqueen.com, or on Instagram as the Intuition Queen. And yeah, and on YouTube as well as the Intuition Queen. My podcast is called Intuitive Queens, and you find it everywhere, every podcast platform.
Yes, I will also make sure that your podcast link is below if you're watching this, because this is going to be on YouTube. So if you're watching this or if you're listening to this, or you like to listen to things, it's going to be there. Well, thank you so much for this powerful conversation, and I hope this conversation gave you the permission to look deeper into your healing. Maybe that's your intuition, maybe that's your energetics just for life, if it's just for your life, or maybe it's just for your business. I know I have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this. So, if again, like I said, make sure you check out Mariah's links below in the show notes. Again, connect with her. If make sure you go follow her on her social medias, go to her website. And if you're craving more ongoing conversations, I also invite you into the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood. This is a space where soul-led entrepreneurs who don't fit in to that old mold, don't fit into society, and are ready to build success in the way that actually feels good for their design. You'll also find those links below in the description box. And if you love this episode, please share this with somebody that you feel that would gain knowledge from listening. Make sure you leave a review and subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. And like always, like I always say, trust your intuition. It always knows the way. Thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next week.